What's good, YouTube, and welcome to the house. Somebody has taken it upon themselves so selflessly to make sure that you can buy prize cards on the market. I know there's going to be some clickbait article that pops up. Your cards are worth what now? Oh my gosh, look what's happened to prize cards. Just because something is listed on market does not mean that's what it goes for. I realize the collector's market is bubbling up. It's so hard to get your hands on a prize card, but there are people just sitting around their house that might just have these cards in their hands that will tell you, such as myself, that they are not worth what people are charging for them at all. They don't come close to anything like the prices on the screen. I'm personally vested, obviously, in the conversation, and I can tell you this is hyper omega inflated. But if you're spending even 1/5 of this kind of money, you can hit me up or use my TCG player link in the description down below for absurdities you shouldn't be spending but supporting the channel directly. Seriously, like, this is more of a meme. I hate the conversation when people say, "This card is at this, did you see, John?" No. It's not at this. There's other places besides eBay and TCG Player to look around. Crush Card Virus is at 5,000. It's almost reasonable at this point. I still feel it's a little inflated. That's because ARG has their Circuit Series. They give out store credit as prizes, so I can see why Jim would want it at 5,000. I would call it 4 to 4.5, but realistically, with how things are getting, I could see these selling eventually. But 180 grand, not close. Just look around the market. You'll find reliable near mint copies, not at these absurdities. And I get when you look at eBay, it can be real painful sometimes to see what's happened to a prize card. PSA 6, real nice. It's interesting also that Darkened Dragon is so hard to get, considering these were recently UDS prizing, where they gave out them to the entire top 8 for several UDSs before they switched to other prize cards. That's because it only comes in Ultra, it's not available in Super. Konami probably had them lying around the back end of their office somewhere. It was like, what can we give as prize? Oh, look at the stack of Darkened Dragons. Trust me, there's more of some of these out there than you think, but versus the demand of really high-end collectors / investors, they are disappearing off the market. Don't get caught up in the clickbait craziness, though. Take it from somebody personally invested. Now, cards that are expensive you can pull from packs right now are more interesting to me. Lightning Storm towards 444. I felt like it was going to repeat history with the other prismatics. You're going to see this fall towards 400 and a couple copies have sold around there, and then start to go back up towards 5 like Masquerada and Apollosa. When we look at the rest of this, though, I called that the Time Thief would fall lowest, and it's racing with the Earth Charmer to drop. I feel like this will settle at 150 and get bought out, very similar to Win, but Win might be one of the most sought after Charmers in general, whereas the Earth one's more reserved. I think there's Charmer collectors out there in general, and that this will swoop back towards 250 eventually. The Time Thief, though, is seeing play in Lunalight decks, and I may have underestimated it a little, but there's this thing called estimated value pulled. Whenever vendors are opening case after case, in a perfect world, when they open 8 cases, they'll have one of each of these, and they're looking at getting back their value versus what they open. And when all the prices are demanding so much, they're getting back over a case's worth. It's like buy 7 cases, get 1 free. That's ridiculous in the Yugi-verse, and some of these are destined to drop like every other set. Every set has had one that's plowed under 100, become worth the value of a box. You know, it's not necessarily that hot, but all of these are really good prospects that they've chosen, Konami has, for the prismatics. It'll be really cool to watch how this falls out. And then the set itself is top heavy, with Lightning Storm being the best card in set, and then people looking for value elsewhere. I told you Island would fall back for 22 within a week. Here we are. It's already at 27 a couple market watches later. This was a terrible buyout. Now, Gizmek Kaku is back on the rise, being the shortest in the American sets by far from all examples of pulls, except for my own box opening, ironically. So towards 31 is very eyebrow raising and interesting. It has this bubble of a time where Master Rule 4.5, it's not necessarily gonna be as good, so people are gonna try to spike it during this time and make their money there, but you're also racing versus the special editions. Lightning Storm realistically carries the set along with the future of what the Plunder Patrols may hold, and that's why you see them continuing to rise on the shorted Ultras. I think the secrets are sleeper investments because when things get good, or if they get good, hopefully it's a win and not a Vindred 2.0, that people will be grabbing these too, even though they're overprinted. Some will have them, but at $5 a piece, they're a pretty solid investment right now. And wow, Cloth-Eep creeping on up even more. Rose, very, very affordable towards $4 if you think this will do anything. And Kuji-Kiri Curse was shorted, hanging around some pretty interesting prices with very, very low quantities on market. I'd consider getting mine sooner than later, but hopefully it gets a rarity upgrade to Prismatic Secret within the Megatons. Rising Rampage is also pretty darn weird when I look at it, because it became so top heavy with other good cards in set that just didn't rise up because it's so top heavy. Gizmek Orochi was rising recently but has cooled back off. I see this being in the room at the WCQ towards $30. This is a great time to get yours using that TCG player link in the description down below. Now, did you really think it was going to be a market watch without buyouts in the season? I know you guys are sick of them. I know. 4 strict secret rare towards $20 freaking dollars, but I want to shout out a motivated seller. Good freaking job here by Yu-Gi-Oh! Wombologist. I know it's an investment and that you want to undercut the market to sell your cards. This is how you do it. This is seriously great. Undercutting everybody, free shipping if you buy another card from him or 2 copies, 33 total. He was ready to undercut everybody at the right time. Good investment, good seller. Good job. That's how you do it and take advantage of the market properly and make happy customers. I really appreciate when I see stuff like that. It's how I conduct business back in the day. So we see the secret rare selling out here. It's very similar on eBay. People love their max rarity. The secret does look a whole lot better. I hate to admit it. Out of Wing Raiders, which it is, you know, a Raid Raptor. But the ultra rare, you might have to settle for it, and $5 ain't too bad to pay right now. Incantation Chalice Slime is getting a buyout. I know rituals are the hype, like they're very cool, megaliths, all that stuff. I don't know about this one. We've seen Incantation buyouts in the past just not pan out, but this is the hardest one to get. It is out of Savage Strike. We don't know if Savage Strike will end up in Megatons thanks to there only being a few reprints of value and them skipping it before. Phantasme likely to be reprinted in the March reprint set from those leaks. Who knows where Pot of Extravagance will end up. And then you have Warlord Savage. There's not a lot more to sell out of the set right now versus everything else, and why would Konami waste their reprint set on this when it's at these prices? So I could see why people are digging in. It's a little cheaper on eBay though, $2. It takes a little bit to rise. Make sure you're getting the best prices yourself, but maybe this is something you had just laying around in your bulk. You didn't know it's worth money. Now you got a little something something. Red Layer Ultra Rares have been bought out despite the OTS Common being around, and the OTS Common is pretty good money you might have in your bulk. Yeah, look at this, towards $10 cheapest. Over on eBay, it's actually way better for the Ultra though. We see 5, 6, 8, so kind of a half-assed buyout or new listings after Fallout. I don't know. The Power Rangers did get new support. This is also a good generic warrior for Isolde. If you control no monsters, not relying on your opponent, you can special summon this card. So being level 5, being a warrior, it's always had great stats, but I don't know about this buyout. But yeah, if the Ultra was 5 and the Common sitting around 3, I can see a gap being created later on versus its demand. So I do get why people went after it. So if you're in the market for an Ultra, get yours right now off of eBay. Cyber Dragon Infinity First Ed Originals are selling out. The Blair Hunter hype, mayhaps? Almost every version of this secret, though, you know, 7 and up. We showed it before. It was like towards 5 for Unlimiteds, I believe. And now we see First Ed towards 10 and then quickly going up. I find this one kind of cute because over on eBay, still towards $8. The market is so split. Everything keeps selling off of TCG Player first, and then eBay seems to be following. It's such a weird lead that like so many people prefer TCG Player. Do you all really love supporting me that much? Because it doesn't necessarily always reflect in my numbers, but I do appreciate everybody using that link seriously. It's just everywhere. Everything is getting bought out. If there's a little smoke of hype, people seem to go for something. Like you could go for Nashter, an original card set out of a $30 paywall box, and go after a card like that. But instead, I agree there's some collectability here. It's getting an alter art soon that gives it a lot of gas and hype. People will want to sell their original arts for the new art. Some people will like the new art, and it will take time again for this to go back up. This is just one of those investments that never panned out for a lot of people, I feel like, that wish this rose towards 15, and after this buyout, seeing as how the hype is not totally inflated for it, I think it's either going to take deep pockets to continue it up versus the alter art, or you're in a weird place for it overall. Finally, another weird one. Agni Mazada is either falling out from its previous buyout or rebubbling up into another buyout. I can't really tell, but when you see the ultra rares, you see it start, just 15 cents, you gotta pay 5 shipping. You see the 5 ones, you see the 6 ones, and there's only 3 copies before they're $10 a pieces for these ultra rares here out of the mega pack, and the originals very, very similarly so start towards this. There's 1 copy, and then it's $10 as well. You have the common available out of the Soul Burner structure deck, of all places, one of the most open structure decks for all the Salad Boy stuff and the Ash Blossoms. It's so cheap, so affordable. You don't really have to worry about having the hollows, but if you're stuck with that mentality, I gotta hollow out my deck, then yeah, you're stuck paying Lithosage Dinosaur hype. It's just not worth it. Get yourself the common on this one. Yeah, this is not what you want to be spending your money on, I feel like. If you're paying above $5 for a non-first ed original out of the Dark Illusion, I think you're wasting your money. That's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think of today's Market Watch. A little bit of shock value on the, prize cards. But like I said, shop around. They're not necessarily truly void from the market, but they all are going up over time. So let me know what you think. It's a personal investment that I've kept for years and years in my own hands, and I really like triple sleeved, but I love triple sleeving cards. Wish you could double sleeve in real life. Konami, get on that one. But I just don't see this one really exploding even as the collector's market explodes. I don't see that like 2 to 3x coming, but let me know what you think versus the quantities. I remember Upper Deck Day also put an unknown quantities of these cards out to judges and to players when people thought the game was dying, and they gave away all their prize cards and Hobby League cards, out of their back closet. A lot of these came into the Yugiverse, so we don't even know the exact number floating around, let alone, what actually could be held by some deep-pocketed collectors who are biding their time. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the conversation. More and more of you guys than ever are signing up for the Patreon, so I've got to do more work giving you exclusive market information there that will later be on Market Watch as always, but I try to give some early sneak peeks and stuff like that, as well as mailed out perks starting at the $20 mark. Find out those OCG collectibles such as Ultimates we don't get, censored arts, and rarities we also don't have cards in. Seriously, I couldn't do this kind of job without the support of you guys watching and joining the streams and coming up with those weird questions like, if you had to pick one Altergeist to, we'll call Mary, which one would it be? Crazy stream last night. It's such a blast hanging out with you guys.